typical high-maintenance musician brings his own pillow. In 2001, I moved from the great state of Alabama to the greater state of Texas, except in college football. Roll Tide. And the first couple of years I lived in this city, I was in corporate, like most guys right out of college, and I ended up being a loan officer, doing mostly refinances right when the rates hit that first low point. I remind you, I was doing legal refinances. You will not see me on American Greed or 60 Minutes after tonight. I lived at the Jefferson at North End. I'm from Montgomery, Alabama. I told myself when I was going to move to a city like Dallas, I wanted to hop right in the fun wagon and support all the local sports teams, and the Jefferson at North End was, 600 yards from the American Airlines Center. So I remember seeing Brooks and Dunn there, going to some Mavericks games, some Stars games, even though a Southerner doesn't know the first thing about hockey. Apparently y'all just won the championship, so the Stars were kind of hot. And yes, this being Tuesday night at 22 and 23 and 24-year-old, at those times I found myself at Primo's during those good old $2 margarita nights, right? Maybe we'll see some of y'all later. In 2004, I was in the same American Airlines Center parking lot for a little 3-on-3 tournament called Hoop It Up. And for those of y'all not familiar with Hoop It Up, it's a 3-on-3 national tournament at all levels of game, beginner, intermediate, advanced, and our level for former college players, Top Gun. Ooh. And so it's kind of a nice way to stay in shape, see some other friends, get that competitive edge back in you. Well, lo and behold, the Mavericks, old savvy Mark Cuban and Donnie Nelson, trying to find any way of free PR, sent their scouts out there in 2004. This was June of 2004. And they picked 20 people from the Hoop It Up tournament to come down to a free agent workout to the Dallas Mavericks facility. Now, I kind of knew a little bit about marketing, so I saw it as a way for them to get some free press. The American Airlines Center was somewhat still their new home, but they picked me and 19 others, and they said, would you like to come down and free agent workout in the Mavericks practice gym? Now, this was about the same time that TV show Punk'd was being aired, so I was on a swivel like, is Ashton around here or something? Getting pumped? But I said yes, and make a long story short, I ended up making the Dallas Mavericks in June of 2004 after about 19 free agent workouts. They tried every way to get me cut, but I made the Dallas Mavericks, and I was Devin Harris's backup. I went from a loan officer's desk to 2-a-days in the Dallas Mavericks practice arena, and I will tell you the first time my hamstrings were not prepared for those 2-a-days. But it was a great feeling. I was a walk-on for the University of Alabama, got my degree in marketing there, so I always had a dream of playing professional basketball with that safe backup plan as my marketing degree from Alabama. I made the Dallas Mavericks in June of 2004. We had 9 Summer League games. For those of y'all that aren't familiar with the Summer League, the Dallas Mavericks and every NBA team will take their first and second year contracted players, plus their new draft picks, plus about 4 or 5 free agents. I was one of those free agents. And basically American Idol type odds to make the Summer League team. But I had a chance to make that third point guard slot. And I knew that, but also knew my new backup plan, if I didn't make that third point guard spot for the Dallas Mavericks, would be to go overseas and make tax-free money. I took a trip to Europe during my college year, so that was a good backup plan for me. So with that, life's a lot more fun, and you usually seem to perform a lot better, be it public speaking, or be it in a relationship, or in work if you're prepared and relaxed. And so that's how I played. We played 9 games in Long Beach, California, and in Salt Lake City, Utah, and got back, and I was preparing for veteran camp. Veteran camp, when the NBA season is usually going on, which right now it's not, usually occurs in late September, early October, and that's when the Mavericks pick their team, and you either get a big check or you get sent overseas for a smaller check. So I was getting prepared for that, and this was August 24th of 2004, and then I wake up, and it's mid-November, and the Red Sox had just won the World Series, and President Bush had just beat Kerry in that strange election deal, and that's the first thing I remember between August 24th, 2004 and mid-November. And I was like, man, is this really a dream? Because the Red Sox aren't supposed to win the World Series with that little thing they have. And turns out I had been diagnosed with leukemia, and turns out I had leukemia 84% in my body when they diagnosed me with it, so the doctors thought it was best to save my life, to drug induce me into a coma. At that point in my coma, things really took a turn for the worse. My father and mother, good friends in Dallas, and great support system was by my side the whole time I was sleeping, and I actually flatlined twice. And anytime I have somebody come up to me today and shake my hand, and whether they know me or not, and tell me they're praying for me, I think that's one of the biggest honors anybody can tell you. And so if any of you are out there and you have, I'll buy you a $2 Primo's margarita later. How about that? Well, the leukemia, I did wake up from the coma, as you can see, and I got, that's right, this is not one of those DVR public speaking things. I woke up from the coma, was in the hospital for 4.5 months, my first stint, got into remission, and now we are at 2011, and that daggum leukemia has come back 4 other times. So when somebody tells me they've had cancer, and then they said, yeah, I took a couple weeks of chemo and I was good, I'm like, you had a sinus infection, damn it. No, I'm just kidding, I definitely have compassion. And, you become a listening ear for a lot of folks who have endured the disease, and friends and family of people that have. The third relapse, my doctor told me I needed to have a bone marrow transplant. I don't have any full brothers or sisters, but I do have a half-sister, but she didn't make the cut. So I had to go into the donor pool. Well, my doctor told me when we were sitting face-to-face, he goes, Ray, basically the same odds of you being diagnosed with leukemia as a professional athlete, really low odds. The same odds are on your side this time because you have a perfect match in the donor pool. And it was 5 seconds of awkward doctor-patient silence. And I said, can we just call it even and I just live for a little while? And he was like, I found out, all right. And so the transplant was great, but I had another relapse about probably 20 months after that. And I definitely remember my mom's Bible verse that was in my hospital room when I woke up throughout this whole process of up and down, relapse, remission, terrible flirting habits, relapse, remission. Proverbs 17:22 is stuck in my head throughout that day, waking up in the hospital with all, what the heck is going on. And Proverbs 17:22 is a very basic verse. It says, a cheerful heart is good medicine to the soul, a downcast spirit dries up the bones. And that verse definitely took place with my feet. I had to have 7 toes amputated, but those of y'all that knew me before I had my toes amputated, some might say it's an upgrade. And so, I'm not joking, I have girlfriends that will say it's an upgrade. So, well, it's now, what are we in, November of 2011, and life is no fun unless you shoot for dreams, right? And so, my new dream is my band. That's why I brought a random guitar on stage. And our band is proudly based out of Dallas. We're 2 years into this venture. Well, we've fortunately got to headline the House of Blues in the big room, not the little restaurant, twice on Saturdays. And they paid us. You can buy a ticket when we play there in January next time. And the band is a very creative name called the Ray Johnston Band. Only because the website was available, not because I'm looking for attention sometimes. I am very, very pro-faith when people ask me about how I encountered my disease, and I definitely believe in the big Lord above, and hopefully he gives me some fist pumps sometimes when I stand up for him. And I definitely believe in cancer research. I stand in front of you today in November of 2011, now 23 months in remission because of a clinical trial drug. And I'm so very happy to share that and like to do it anytime I get to speak on behalf of the Cattle Barons Ball or bone marrow registries and such like that. My little funny story about my bone marrow donor, his name is Mark Miller. We can say his name now, it's past the year of anonymity, whatever. But the first year you can't know each other's name. And so he was a believer as well. So in his prayer group, I was patient. And in my little prayer group, he was donor. And we had a good match here. Today, if I call Mark, if Mark calls me, it pops up as donor. If I call him, it pops up as patient Ray. He added Ray to his. And his wife is the group sales director for the Lowe's Hotel in Nashville. Any of y'all that stayed at the Lowe's, it's a very nice property. And so I actually tried out for that TV show, The Voice, in Orlando recently, and I checked into the Lowe's and they go, sir, we see you're on the family rate here. Are you actually family to Jenna and Mark Miller? And I was like, yes, I am. And they said, I don't see the resemblance. And I'm like, all right, bone marrow transplant, just trust me, we got the same blood here now, okay? So, in all this experience, I've been blessed to be in a great city of Dallas. I moved here knowing one person, and now I think I'll be here for a long time with all the friends I've met along the way. And this has been an extremely supernatural journey. And as a musician, our latest single that's on iTunes is actually called Supernatural. And so I'm going to very smoothly round out this story session with this song called Supernatural. Hope you enjoy. hear the sound of yesterday. I throw my own guitar away. I blink, I breathe, and Lord, I lose my way. I close my eyes again. How can this be real? And this is so impossible. It must be supernatural. Every time I got it all figured out, you disappeared. And now that you've gone away, and I dream of you each night I pray. And as I try to find my way, I still can't hear your voice. This is so impossible. It must be supernatural. Every time I got you figured out, you disappear, disappear, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. This is so impossible. It must be supernatural. Every time I got you, this is so impossible. It must be supernatural. Every time I got you figured out, disappear. Disappear.